Just want to give you an update on Stable One. There's been a lot of things going on with this project, and I just want to go over this. I did a video on the 21% auto reinvestment, and that has kind of spiraled out of control on the project. And I just kind of want to give you a storyline about what has happened and what the outlook of this looks like. So we talked about this before. Once you invest in this thing, it creates a deposit, and then once you accept a 21% reinvestment, what it does, and you can go look at this over the last video, it takes whatever deposit was there and creates another one based off of it. The problem is once you get more than a few, it's going to double every time. So it's just going to keep spawning these every time you run the 21% reinvestment. Now, it used to be that it would pop up every day. If you held for a day, you'd hit accept. It would run that feature and everybody was fine, but they never went down here and looked at their deposits. And you can see it would spawn all these small deposits. Now, the problem with that is when we look at the audit that was done, there's kind of a warning here. There's an optimization suggestion, and it says low severity. But I think this was very isolated test when they did this, and they didn't compare this with what the code would create in number of deposits. So we know that this comment's only relevant if a user creates an excessive number of parallel deposits more than 100. Well, this kind of wording the user creates, so everybody's like, hey, if you got more than 100, it's probably somebody's withdrawing a bunch of times and it's sticking that reinvestment in every single time. Well, that's not true, because those deposits are made when that 21% thing is done, and it just keeps doubling your deposits every single time. Now, the problem with this is, which is the big problem, when this gets to that size of transactions of those deposits, withdraw is not possible. Now, if you're trying to create any kind of investment platform, and you want people to actually make money, withdraw is somewhat kind of an important thing. So what happened is, if you take one, double it, you get 2, and 4, and 8, and 16. It only takes about 8 days to get up to, something over 100. You hit 128 and you can no longer withdraw. That's only 8 days. That's not good. You haven't even pulled out your initial investment yet, and you can't even withdraw anymore. So this started happening. More and more people complained and said, hey, I can't withdraw. So the first thing Stable One did was probably the smartest thing they did, was they took down the 21% reinvestment and just turned it off, and said, hey, this isn't happening anymore. We're going to try and fix things. Problem is, this is locked into a smart contract. They can't change the code. So the next thing they did is they thought, well, if people don't run it as much, it won't be a problem. So the next thing they did, which made it way worse, is they stuck it they combined the withdraw with the 21% reinvest. And so when you click withdraw, it would have run that reinvestment, and they made it so you can only do it every 48 hours. That was probably the worst thing they did, because it just compounded things so quickly. They're like, well, it's only every 2 days. It's like, yeah, but what you're doing is you're tying that problematic code that's creating all these deposits into withdraw. So if anybody wants to withdraw, they have to double their transactions on their account. So that went really horribly wrong. They had a lot of complaints of people not being able to withdraw. It just kept growing and growing until finally it came to a head. And today they announced that they're only going to allow withdrawals once every 10 days. It's a step in the right direction, but that thing running every 10 days is not sustainable. They they say in their white paper they want this thing to last 7+ months. Well, if you can run that thing every 10 days, you're only going to last about 2 months before you hit that withdraw problem. And I can show that to you. We had some people asking for a spreadsheet, a calculator. I don't have a lot more investment strategies now, because when they move it to 10 days and they combine that 21% into the single button, there's not a lot of strategies you can do. You can either A, hold everything and not withdraw until 30 days, which you could do that, or B, you can withdraw every time, or a combination of both, every other time or something. The other strategy is try to recompound everything back in, or a portion of it, but I would not suggest that. I would suggest getting your profits out as soon as possible, and then you can compound or do whatever you want after that. But I would highly suggest getting your initial investment out as fast as possible. Now with this, I'm going to say this is not financial advice. I'm not saying buy into this. I'm not saying what you should do. Do your own risk analysis. I think it's probably got a month or two left in it. Based on what I'm seeing, I think over the next 10 days, especially day 10, it'll be interesting to see the contract balance. Right now we've got a contract balance, let's see, just over 1.5 million Matic staked. Well, not staked, deposited. This is not a staking platform. So it'll be interesting if that thing drops and doesn't come back up. That means people are not reinvesting into it. That means they're just taking profits and not reinvesting into it, and that would be a big tell if this is a good buy or not. If people take it and it goes back up a bit, it's probably it might last a little longer. I mean, I'm not saying this thing's going to last 7 months. I don't think so at all, but it'll just be interesting to see what users actually do with their profits. Okay, so let's run through this. Let's do an initial investment of 100 Matic. When you stick that in, you get a 10% tax on your investment, and that's one transaction. That's one deposit on your account. I need to change this because this is going to show when we get into trouble. 10 days later, you take a withdraw. You stick 47.25. You're almost halfway to your initial investment. You take that out. When you hit that button, the first thing it's going to do is going to run that 21% reinvestment. So it's going to look at your previous transaction or your previous deposits and create one deposit based off of each one of those. So it'll be like, okay, one, we're going to create another one. And then once that's done and reinvest in your principal, it will do the withdraw, and 25% of this goes back in as another deposit. So that's 3 total transactions you have here, because this function of withdrawing is going to create 2 deposits here, one based on the previous week and another one for the withdraw bonus. All right, so now all's good. We have made it to day 20. If you add these up, you're over your initial investment. So at day 20, you can pull out, and that you've got your initial investment back. Now, when you withdrew, it did the same thing. The 21% hold bonus. These actually have the tax factored in, the 6%. So it's going to take and create a deposit for every single one of the ones before it. So it's going to double it to 6, and then it's going to do this other withdraw, and it's going to add another one. You'll have 7 deposits on your account, and it goes on and on and on. The one thing to note here is after 30 days, previous deposits fall off. They're no longer in the calculation. They don't count anymore. It's the same thing with your principal. If you can see here, we lost a bit here because our initial investment falls off. And you can see this also with our compounding. This one doubled after 30 days, it doubled, yes, but it took this one off. So, the withdrawal bonus came on, it was at 31. This one, it doesn't count anymore because it's no longer being doubled. You're only doubling off of these guys. Well, you're doubling off the previous number that you had. So, all right. So then 50. This just keeps going on. This one falls off, but you're also doubling your deposits. So one falls off, but you're doubling. So exponentially, you are really moving up there. By 60 days, you're over the 100 that are active deposits on your account. When you hit that withdraw, that's when it's going to double. So this would be recoverable from here up. So that's $399, about 400 Matic. After that, though, you've got a lot of deposits and they're growing quickly. And this is where your investment is actually starting to pick up and actually make quite a bit. But these deposits, they're not going to let you even be able to withdraw. And right now, Stable One is basically anybody that has an account. You've been able to withdraw, those are your gains, and they're going to refund you your initial investment total. So, some people only have like a week's worth of gains, and then Stable One's only giving them their initial investment. So they're actually making a little money, but they're also not going to be the early investors in this. So yeah, according to my calculations, I think I'm a little bit off here because of the compounding, but it's going to build very similar. This is going to be over 100 by 9 or by day 60. So you're 2 months in, you've done that. By day 70, you're not going to be able to withdraw anymore. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at right now. Do I think it's a good investment? I'm kind of torn. I'm not sure what Stable One's going to do. If they're going to change that again. They've been changing it a lot lately. So it's up to you to invest. Do some research. If you can, work with this, and you also see that the contract balance, you might want to wait until day 10 from now and see what this balance looks like. If it's down and it's growing, that means people, are withdrawing, but also they withdrew, but they're also reinvesting into it. If it's down and staying stagnant or even going lower, I don't know if it would be a safe bet. So it's up to you. I'll leave a referral link. It helps me out if you do decide to invest, but I'm not saying to invest in this thing. It's really up to you and your risk level. I'm not partial either way. It's really up to what you think is best. But that's what's going on. That's kind of the state of Stable One. It's really about this contract balance and what it's going to do over the next 10 days. Anyway, if you've got any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. I'll do the best I can to answer those, and I will leave also a link to this spreadsheet just so you can get into it and play around. You might find some errors in it, but that's okay. Criticize away. Anyway, have a great day wherever you're at. Thanks.